So we went to sample a couple different spots and we wanted to see what kind of microorganisms we could find in the water. We took water samples from Riverwalk Park in Bakersfield, California, and then we also wanted to see what was living inside of hot springs in Utah. So what we found was if we sampled clear water from the middle of the pond, we didn't find that many microorganisms. But if you actually pinch off a piece of green algae and put it right inside your petri dish, you're going to find lots and lots of microorganisms living in that little forest.
Yeah, I see this tiny one poking out.
What do you see?
A tiny worm poking out.
Now this one is really big compared to the others, and it's called a bristleworm. And bristleworms, you'll find them in late stage decomposition processes. So they don't go and eat fresh plants. They go in and they take all the decaying matter that the bacteria have already started to break down, and they start eating all the pond sludge. So you'll find them on slimy stuff. You can see all those big bristles coming off of every single segment of their body. When I was looking at these bristleworms, it made me think twice about wanting to swim in that pond. I wasn't quite sure what they were, and I thought, I don't really want to swim with those guys. But when I started reading about them, completely harmless, not parasites. You don't have to worry about them. And you'll find them in just about all the water sources. So you really can sample from anywhere. But we definitely found the most luck and found the coolest stuff when we looked inside all the green stuff. If you can find a little whipworm like this, it's called a nematode. And nematodes are really cool because they have the amazing ability to regrow body parts. So if they get their tail chopped off, they can regrow a new tail. And if they get chopped in half too close to the middle of their body, the two pieces will actually grow two nematodes. So one nematode that needs a head will grow a head, and the other half that needs a tail will grow a tail. We found some microscopic critters that were really neat. These guys are called copepods. And one of the cool things about copepods is they only have one eye. Take a really close look at them and you'll see. Now, a copepod, even though it's microscopic, it's still a multicellular organism. They're made of lots of cells. It's not unicellular. And if you look at a copepod, you can see the different types of cells that make up its body. It's translucent. You can see his digestive system, and you can see all the different organs inside his body. Now, copepods have really fast reflexes. When they flit through the water, they just skeet around like lightning. And if they stop long enough for you to take a look at them, you'll be really lucky. Another critter we found was the ostracod. And these kind of look like little seeds. Some kids in class say they look like Pac-Man because they have a little split in them. But you can see they hide inside their little shell. And when they want to move around, they stick out their legs and their antennas and they flit through the water. So that's an ostracod. It's actually an arthropod. Now these are some of the larger creatures that you'll be finding with Meeka. But Meeka can also find smaller unicellular creatures. Once you get good at focusing and moving through the view of your microscope, you might be able to spot some of these guys. Now these are protists. They're protozoa. It's a class of microorganism that's very large and very diverse. And a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them are unicellular. Like this little guy right here. Now if you take a look at it, you can see it's one single cell, and inside it you can see a few different things. There's some spheres and some blobs. Now one of those spheres is the nucleus, and the others are organelles. Now organelles do a lot of different things, and they're all important for the cell's survival. Now cells are really diverse, but one thing that all the cells have in common is they all have a nucleus and they all have organelles. Now the nucleus holds all the genetic information. This is kind of like the instructions that the species needs to reproduce itself and to survive. It's like the thinking center and the instruction center for the whole cell.
So then even smaller than those microscopic little swimming, guys, there was this thing that was also moving, but it was like a rod. And it was just cruising across the screen. And it had these, obviously it looked like little ribbon that was kind of like moving and getting it through the water. And I was like, that's amazing. What's that? So I start looking up and I figure out it's a diatom. And I've worked with diatoms for years as a geologist. I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's a diatom. That should not be moving. That is not an animal. That is not, that is algae, a type of plant. So now we have plants that are moving, swimming across the slide. And it was just amazing to look at them and be like, holy cow.
Diatoms are really interesting algae, and one thing that makes them unique is that their cell wall, it's not like the cell wall of a plant or an animal. Their cell wall is actually made of silica. So it's like glass.
I've always studied cell walls. Oh, they're soft. They let things through. They're squishy. But with diatoms, they're just downright completely fortified hard. They can last for millions of years in the fossil record. And that's why I know about them, because you can take diatoms and look at them from 400 million years ago, and they're very sensitive to pH and water temperature, and there'll be certain diatoms that thrive under certain conditions. And so by analyzing the diatoms that thrive under these conditions, you can say, okay, 400 million years ago, we were in greenhouse conditions, or we were in icehouse conditions. And yeah, we have the geologic record to show that, but we also have the diatoms to show it. It's just neat when, as a scientist, to just kind of have your own little mind blown by looking through your microscope at night and just be like, I'm just looking at a sample of pond water from the park, and I'm learning a lot myself.